Makers. Welcome to What the Book. My name is Cynthia Sullivan, international best-selling author from Australia. Welcome. You have found yourself in the most weirdest little corner of the world for the next hour. My co-star and beautiful co-host Kaya Carrington-Russell is in the house. Good morning, gorgeous.
Good morning, sunshine. How are you today?
You know what? I'm all right. I got called into work. I hate working on a Sunday. I mean, seriously, people, why do I need – I need the money. That's why I need to work on a Sunday. So still not happy. Not happy, Jan.
No.
We get that.
That's gross.
But we get that, you know. What do? What do?
Extra pocket money, right?
Bills need to be paid.
Bills.
Yeah, bills need to be paid. Can't do anything about that. Now, for the players playing at home, Mark MB Davis, not here today. Family needs some time. They've got some stuff going on, so we send him our love, hugs, and super squishy kisses, because, you know, that's how we rock on What the Book. Don't we, Kaya?
We do. All the love.
All the love. We hope he's back here next week, but we'll see how we go. You know, until then, it's a girl crew. Until our guest gets here, which is a whole different thing. Now, I do believe he's here. I can see him in the darkened shadows of our studio. Kaya, my darling, how are you with horror?
You know I am a pussycat.
All right, well, our guest scares the shit out of me. So this should be fun. And I don't mind horror most times, but this guy's just like, wow, next level shit. So this could be fun. Of course, just quickly, people in our studio, hi, Sarah. I think I saw somebody else pop in. Yes, Emmanuel. Good morning or good evening, depending on which side of the pond you are. All right, let's introduce our guest to welcome what the oh God, it's early and I only had one coffee, Kaya. One coffee.
Why?
I know.
Why?
I don't know. I had a piece of toast. Does that count? And Vegemite. That's got to count.
I had two pieces of honey.
Oh my God, what an intro.
Look at us going about our daily breakfast.
It's such an intro. We're such a professional crew, aren't we? It's like clockwork. It really is. Welcome.
That's what people say about What the Book.
Welcome, Hanson Oak, to What the Book. How are you?
I am fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. See that?
Oh, excellent.
You don't get that sort of intro on every podcast that you go on, I'm sure.
You certainly don't. You don't hear the term and the product Vegemite too much in the US here either.
Oh, you guys really need to step up and get on board. It's really good. It's good. Although it's probably, you know, brainwashed into us from when we're, 4 months old and handed a piece of over.
Do you remember the song?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I don't need to go there.
It just started playing in my head.
But from 3, 4, 5 months old where, you've got teeth coming in and they cook you a piece of toast that's to the point of death. And then put a bit of Vegemite on it so that you can just sort of gum it. See, we're brainwashed for Vegemite. That's why I don't think you guys like it over your side.
We have our own wide selection of over-processed paste here.
Nice.
So.
What's your favorite thing to put on toast, Hanson?
Just a bit of butter. That'll do me.
Just
Nothing too
butter?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Well, if you're going into, look, it sort of plays into the horror aspect of your writing. I could see that somebody's trapped in a basement and all you're getting is a bit of toast and butter. That's it, kid. That's it.
I'd be okay with that besides the basement part.
Don't like the basement part. Like, I go in the basement with the handcuffs.
No,
don't start
you.
with me. But different thing.
I mean,
slightly different.
That's an additive. You didn't start with that.
The handcuffs.
Well,
Sorry?
that's more of a dungeon than a basement.
Yeah.
So that's more of a
I'm
dungeon.
sorry,
than
I
a
get the two
basement.
confused. It gets me into a lot of trouble.
Really, it's semantics. It's all about, is there curtains or are they blackout curtains? Is there a light? Is there? Hanson, now you are a writing community favourite on Twitter, and I've stalked you for ages and ages and ages. And quite honestly, if I'm going to be completely frank with you, Hanson, you scare the shit out of me. Your writing, is okay. It's not just descriptive. You plant such a visual image into the reader's head that literally transports them into that position, and honestly gives me the creeps. In the most respectful way, darling, the most respectful way. When did you...
Oh, that's a great compliment.
When did you find a love of the spooky and creepy horror? When was this... Is this always been something in your head?
No, I think writers, the genre tends to find you. You may start out wanting to work in something specific, and then you land someplace else, and I think that's my experience. So I never started writing horror. I just found that I can go a lot darker than other people. And so I just started to explore on how dark I could go until I felt uncomfortable. And I haven't found that place yet.
Well, see, that was my next question, is have you ever, hit a spot where you go, ooh, that's a step too far? No, you haven't.
I don't think you can go a step too far. I think that's the beauty of writing is that exploration. So I don't think you can go too far, especially with yourself.
Interesting. Kaya, what's your take on horror?
Yeah. See, it's I don't know. Horror is not for me specifically, just because I am a scaredy cat. But with that said, I write dark fantasy, so I do have a very gory and dark themes, and so I've always questioned like where that line is between as well. But I'm wondering if mine's a bit more thriller opposed to horror, because I don't know. I don't like the suspense in horror. I think that's what scares me. It's not the actual dark element of it. It's the suspense. I think that frightens me.
I think like any genre, there's a spectrum to horror. And there's two things that I feel people react to the most. One is love and one is fear. They're two sides of the same coin. So to explore one, you have to have good character, because you have to want to relate and you want to root for the character. Otherwise, if nobody cares what happens to them, then you sort of lost the point.
Absolutely.
I think dark fantasy, when you're exploring dark fantasy or any genre, it's about the character first and the situation second.
Interesting. I hear okay, Sir was just mentioning that he has no limits because he writes horror too. He has no limits with the pushing the envelope. But what he said, I think, is interesting, is that it's not for the sake of it. I've got one of your posts up here, Hanson, I want to read, because it's exactly what I'm talking about with how I admire your words so much. And this is it. Okay, hang on. I got it. It's a VSS 365. Sorry, Kai. He's another VSS king. I love VSS 365. I should totally be a spruiker for them. They should need 10% commission on every time I spruik VSS 365. All right, okay, here it is. Okay. I see it in the corner. It is mostly claws and teeth with the sack of a stomach that can stretch tenfold, big enough for a human child. It burps. A whiff of death poisons the summer breeze. I am chilled by the correlation between the empty bed and the plump creature. Now, theoretically, there's nothing in there that is really horribly, grotesquely in your face blood and gore. And that is why I love it, because what it does is the seed that it plants in the reader's head is like, oh, okay. It just makes every hair on your body stand up because you took them to a spot and make them create their own next chapter, so to speak, off it.
I think, there's some people who write horror to shock. You've all seen the movies where it's gore for gore's sake.
Yeah.
There's no sense to it. It's just, gallons of blood. And while it has its place and its audience, I don't think people who watch that feel anything but the giddiness of seeing how creative you can get with the effects. And, I think somebody, let's see, there's an old movie and I forget what it was. It was one of the first ones that really hit me. And it was so bizarre. Oh, man, I wish I could remember the name of it. But at the end of it, he picks up a lawnmower and there's a horde that's attacking him and he starts fighting back with a running lawnmower. And what ensues is a lot of tomato puree and over-the-top gore. And it becomes comical. So it loses the horror effect because it's so absurd. And I think horror or romance, anything follows that line where you want to straddle it, where it's just enough where your audience can feel and follow along and have a reaction to it that they'll carry with them. Any less and it becomes corny, and any more and it becomes corny. So any writing has to straddle that line. So that's what I try to do in my own, is just enough where you're really the one that has the visual. I'm only giving you enough information for your own mind to come up with the rest. So if you're really bothered by it, that's your fault. Don't blame me. Don't blame Hanson Oak. That's you.
I love it. That's just your...
You saw what you saw.
That's your trigger warning on the bottom. I remember, hey, mate, not my fault if you got scared. You took yourself there, not me. Mm-mm.
Right. Yeah. And I remember one of my favorite books from, obviously, one of everybody's favorite authors, Stephen King. And he wrote his memoir on the craft of writing, which, if you haven't read that book as a writer or a reader or a fan, you need to go out and pick it up, because it's a tremendous work, and it's almost a gift that he's giving back to his readers and wannabe writers on how he does what he does in his story. But there's a part in it where he recalls early on in his career, probably one of the first times he was confronted by a reader who was outraged about a dog that died in one of his stories. And they were calling him abusive, a monster. How could you do this to a fictitious animal?
Yeah.
It's never happened.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example of the hang up and the responsibility of a reader to realize that a lot of the experience with reading is on your end. I'd say the majority of the experience with reading anything is your own interpretation. So again, a lot of it is straddling that line, and if it goes too far, reread the words without your own biases attached to it.
Absolutely, and that also plays into reviews, that I feel the same way about reviews, that is how somebody else felt about it, not necessarily how I wrote it. And that's fine, completely valid, 100% backing every review I've ever had. It's its own interpretation. And as you're saying, that, you can provide a certain amount of imagery, a certain amount of wordplay, and where the reader decides to take that is entirely up to them. I've had those readers. I'm going to cross to Kaya in a second because I know she's had them too. But I've had those readers that attack because of something I've done to one of my characters. Something that I've done. And I mean, my characters aren't, they're not even mine. They're their characters. They're their own characters. They do their own shit. I just write it down. It's like a police report. I'm an incident reporter pretty much. So whether they do creepy ass shit or whatever, that's on the characters, and yet I get attacked for it. because the reader didn't like it, or the reader didn't think it was correct, or didn't think that that's not what that character should have done or should have said. And I'm like, well, that's nice, but, I don't control the little ship. Kaya, what about yours?
Well,
Sorry, Hanson?
Yeah, I've definitely had.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think people who don't write don't realize how little control you have over the characters.
Oh, we don't.
Yes.
So when they do something that the reader doesn't like, or something to another character that they did not enjoy so much, a lot of the times we have the same reactions. We might be on the same side of this complaint about the story, and they don't even realize that. We might be less happy about somebody dying or killing somebody or falling in love with another person than they are. But it is what it is, because if we try to push them off that path, then the story it loses the reality we're trying to paint to it.
Kaya?
There was one character, I've had this as one character that comes to mind that I loved and really wanted to keep in the book. I didn't want to kill him, but I had to. Dead, gone. But it served a purpose in the storyline. But I tried, dead, gone, but I tried to be so crafty to keep him in because I loved him so much, but no. It wasn't going to work with the book, but I've definitely had that confrontation with readers, and exactly as you were saying, Hanson, like, we have no control over it. So they'll be like, you killed him, and I'll be like, I know, I cried too while I was writing that scene because I didn't want to let him go. But I've actually had a really weird encounter, and it's going to be too much information, but that's what we do best here. Excellent. When I started writing my erotica series, I actually had a couple of beta readers, and I wanted to see, because I'm not a male, but my main character was a male. And I had a male beta reader, and at some point he was giving me really good feedback, which was awesome, until he sent me a message and he'd somehow miscrewed it and was like, oh, I love this scene, and interpreted in his visual of him and myself.
Oh.
I was like, whoa. It was a really weird. I was like, okay, I'm not sending you this stuff anymore.
Oh my goodness.
This has gone really left field. Very bizarre thing to happen. It was a weird one to deal with.
So you've gone from suddenly having a beta reader to him interpreting as sexting. Not quite the same thing. Not quite the same thing.
No, it was very bizarre.
Again, that comes down to the reader. So, exactly. That's their hang up. I am friends and have been friends with people who write all sorts of genres. I think romance and erotica is an interesting genre to be a writer of, because the initial reaction from a reader is that female character, or whatever, if it's a female author, that's their fantasy. And that's crossing a line on the reader, because now that's the reader's fantasy. The reader's fantasy is that the author of this book is into whatever it is, and then they start to build their own fetish around that. Whereas a lot of the erotica writers that I know, a lot of them are timid, and they're exploring this space within themselves. So it's an unfair. So in my genre, I'll kill anything, and it's just that's what's going to happen in the book or the story, and that's how it plays out. It could be an animal, it could be a child. I'm not okay with either, but that's how the story plays out. So when I've gotten DMs, which are very funny to me, where they are going to rant about how abusive I am because a child or a woman or something like that was hurt in something I wrote. So again, a fictitious character in a fictitious situation was hurt, and because of some trauma or sensitivity that they have, they assign that to me as if I actually had done it. Like I'm digging graves in my backyard.
See, I had this conversation. Sorry, Kaya?
I was going to say, do you put on your blurbs like on Amazon and that may involve blah, blah, or do you leave as is, because that, can be expected in that genre?
I'm sorry, my headphone broke up. What was the question?
Do you put a disclaimer on like your blurb before readers grab it, read the book, or do you just leave as is because these are some of the things that usually happen in this genre anyway?
I am, how to put this? The world we're in with trigger warnings.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear how you tackle this, actually, Hanson.
Because in my writing, I've gotten many comments and DMs and emails requesting that before I write something, that I need to put a disclaimer that it could be of a sensitive nature. And while I am 100% on board with certain people have sensitivities and traumas, it's not my responsibility as a writer to try to guess and be sensitive to whatever any reader anywhere might be sensitive to, because it's an impossibility.
Yeah.
And I think if you pick up a book, if you know me, I had somebody who followed me for a long time and interacted with me in my writing. And there was one thing that I wrote that was published, and they picked it up and they read it. And I got a nasty email from this person, which I had a relationship with for years because of something particular in there. And at that point, you should be familiar enough with what I write, and the separation between a writer and the work that they write. So I think when it comes down to it for trigger warnings, I think the reader, again, has a responsibility to understand what they're about to read and to make the call themselves if they should proceed with that choice.
See, I think the responsibility, I'm going to agree to a point. I am. I'm anti-trigger warnings. I'm anti giving the special, I'm anti it in a complete and utter 100%. I don't agree with them at all. You'll never find them on my books. But the responsibility, I think, is a shared responsibility. I create a cover and a blurb that should give the reader enough of an idea on what theme, what genre, where I'm going with this book, especially if it's in a series. They should, they understand that they're going to be reading a fantasy book and, there's going to be battles, or they're going to be reading a horror book and things are going to die because it's horror. You're going to be reading an erotic book. Well, people are going to have sex. I think that the responsibility of the author, it lays in the cover choice and the blurb writing to make sure that it's clear enough that it leads the reader down the right avenue for them to make a choice for themselves. Yes, that sounds like something I would love to read. No, that does not sound like something I'm going to read. Excellent. From that point on,
and I 100% agree.
Yeah, what little secrets and tidbits you find in that book. Well, if you get to a point where you don't want to read it anymore, then you don't finish the book. This is the way life works. I have a book that I killed 2 kids in, which did get flack. And when my beta readers read it beforehand, they warned me not to put it out because it had children being killed in it. And I'm like, you know what, though, this is like, it was book 4, I think, in a series of 7, and it was the story. That is the way it was going, and I just put it out, and the book's a great seller. But, you have to just sort of let it lie sometimes. I don't know. Kaya, are you into sensitivity warnings?
I'm always interested in the conversation between authors because everyone has a different take on it, so I find it fascinating. I respect those who do it. I do not. I do not want to highlight bits of my book that might be, because I know that I do have some controversial scenes. But with that said as well, when it does get into a bit more graphic, like if I think it's a sensitivity, I usually go fade to black. So, it kind of happens. Like I don't write those bits graphically, but I think as a writer, that's me respecting that this might be, a bit of a sensitive topic. And I don't think I need to put disclaimers on my book because, and other authors I've spoken to are like, but you're basically giving away what's in it.
Yes.
Like, all the shock, all the twists and turns. And is that not why we read? I think, unfortunately, we're just in a time where everyone has an opinion and social media makes it a lot easier to be louder about it. So, but I respect authors who do it at the same time. So it's just
it's each to their own.
Interesting debate.
Each to their own. But hang on, when we're talking sensitivities though, where's the line? Where is the line with this? Because, you could have somebody who's sensitive to a car screaming by them because it gave them a scare. And then if I write a book where a car screams by a character and they jump, then suddenly somebody's got a trigger warning. Where does that line sit? So I just don't. I just no, nobody's getting a warning. You're just going in.
I think you guys, both of you said something interesting. One, the marketing aspect of your cover and your blurb, that's to find the readers that you want. That's not to dissuade readers that shouldn't be there. So the reader should understand what they're getting into, absolutely. But you're not putting something there as a warning. You're trying to draw them in. So if somebody's drawn in by your blurb and your artwork and your previous stories, and they become offended by something in that particular story, that's now on them. That's not on you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing of your fade to black, my question to you would be, if what happens during that fade to black is necessary to the story, as painful or sensitive or graphic as it might be, are you doing a disservice to your own story and yourself as a writer and your own creative explorations by muting and censoring yourself and your work because you're, in the back of your mind, are worried about what somebody else might feel about it? Because now you've lost the honesty as an artist. You've lost that flexibility to explore the space because you're so afraid that somebody is going to raise their hand and attack. And as an artist, and that's what writers are, you're have a very sensitive soul, as much crocodile skin as you might put over yourself. Criticism is a very hurtful experience. You could take it, I've been criticized. I used to work in film and television, a lifetime ago. And so I've grown used to criticism, and it doesn't bother me anymore. Somebody starting out, a criticism could crush their future career. So, and that's something that's always in the back of your mind as a sensitive person, is what are other people going to think? But if you let that control your work, then you're not being fair to yourself or the readers who would enjoy it. And those are the people that you want to bring in. And it seems like we're a lot more concerned with the people we don't even want reading the work than we are with the people we do.
Yeah, I think that when you're talking about reviews or opinions of other people crushing our dreams as writers, we've all been there right from the beginning. Kyra and I have been nearly 8 odd years in this damn stupid, crazy, weird industry that we live in, which we love more than anything else. But geez, it's a hard place to exist sometimes. Having that person who wants to rip apart not just your book, but you. This is what I was actually going to mention it before. How did separating the like Hanson, you said that you have friends. Well, we've all got friends who write genres that don't necessarily partake in the subject, like you said. You write horror. You're not out there digging holes in your backyard as well. It's not what you do. It's what you write. So associating the author as being their book or being part of their characters is a very confronting thing as a writer, to have somebody come at you like this is you, where you know, it's a book that you're writing, they're characters that you're writing, it's fiction, and yet sometimes people cross the two over and, you know, will attack you out of it. And I think we all have been there. I know I've been there. I know I've been attacked. I know Kai has been attacked about our words, but it's building resilience against it, and understanding that people's opinions are people's opinions. And I mean, one of the things that helped me with that was going and looking at what I classed as some of the biggest and best authors in the world: Stephen King, Agatha Christie, Anne Rice, J.K. Rowling, all these different authors that are amazing in their books. And then you go look at and I'm not taking in the person, it doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the people behind the books. I'm talking about their books. And you read their reviews and you see the 5 stars, which are exactly how you feel about them. And you're like, yes. And you go read their 1 stars and how they get attacked as well. And it puts your own perspective, I think, or it helped me put perspective on my writing, that, you know, I'm not going to please everybody. Somebody who can make bazillions of dollars from their writing still can't please everybody. And I think that's a really sort of grounding way to think about your work. Kaya, am I off or am I on?
No, I agree with that entirely. And it's a lesson that everyone has to learn, unfortunately, in this industry. And it's probably one of the hardest lessons, because we are artists and we put our canvas up, we put our book out there, and then it just gets scrutinized. And that's a really difficult, you have to have some confidence and balls to be able to do that and continue doing it. So, you know, but that's the thing too. One thing I do always say to new authors as well is finding constructive criticism opposed to somebody just being an asshole on the internet. There's a big difference. And so, you know, sometimes I'll read reviews and go, you make a valid point, or I'll think, you're just a dick.
Yeah.
We get those.
What's also helpful in that, what's also helpful in that space is, you know, a 5-star review. If you read them, you have a lot of gushing fans, and that author can do no wrong in their eyes. And then you have the people who leave those scathing 1-star reviews, and there's nothing that author could do to bring that up from a 1. But a lot of times, if you click on that 1-star review guy and look at what he's written, you can just tell he's some miserable bastard just sitting in his basement looking for stuff to complain about, you know. And there's this negativity has found a megaphone on social media. So the truth lies in the middle, and people need to make up their own minds.
I'm still anti trigger warnings. I am. Kaya, go on. I'm going to stand on my hill. I do.
That's right. I'm next to you on that hill.
I hate them. I just hate them. I don't want to know what's going on in the story before I get there. Okay. If I sit back and I get to a page and I go, oh my God, oh my God. And I have to put that book down and I have to walk away for half an hour and breathe because I'm so angry or whatever about that story. I think, wow, what a talented writer to put me in that spot. That is a story that gripped me, that affected me, that got under my skin, and I love it. Anyway, go on, Kaya. I'm done. I'm on my hill.
I forgot. I almost forgot what I was going to say. I was like, wow, you're so passionate.
It's you know me. It gets up my goat.
It's true though. I mean, I'm a fence sitter as always. So I'm like, cool. I was going to say though about the 1-star reviews, just quickly, the irony that I find the 1-star reviews are usually have written the most. Like they've written a 10-minute essay, and I just think, you hated my book, but you spent a lot of time to let me know how you felt about it. So I just find it ironic.
The 2,000-word essay. I've got one of those. I freaking love it. I love it. On my best-selling book, there's one 1-star review, and it's like a 2,000-word essay, and I just sit there and go, oh God, you loved my book. You really, really loved it. To sit there and spend that much time. You must have read it a couple of times to get that sort of detail out of it. I am loving this, you know. It's like, okay. It just cracks me up. It cracks me up. Now, Hanson, Okay. Dark Tides. I have to talk about this. It's a charity horror anthology. It has names in this anthology. Kaya, get this. I swear to God. It has names in this anthology that are Stephen King, Neil Gaiman.
Wow.
And Hanson Oak. You're in an anthology with Stephen King.
Wow.
Little Hanson Oak managed to worm his way into it. Huh?
How did this happen?
Well,
and
congratulations.
And how does that feel to sit alongside the greats of our writing world? How does that feel?
It's pretty amazing. It's very, very humbling. There's, how did it come about? It came about, I was contacted actually by the publisher of the book, who had read some other stuff that had been published, and he asked me to write something for the book, and I didn't know who else was in it or being considered. At that point, it was sort of late stages of publishing, and they were still negotiating certain contract points and publication points with King and Gaiman's representatives, because they're not dealing with them directly; they're dealing with their people. I don't have people, so they came directly to me and asked me if I had
their
anything.
People spoke to your people, meaning they spoke to you.
Yeah, I'm my people. I'm my own people.
You're your own people.
Yeah. So I didn't. The last thing that I had written had been published a few months earlier, so I didn't have anything for them. And the deadline, I had 3 weeks to come up with something, write it, edit it, get it over to the editor, and then they would see if there was a yay or a nay. I had no ideas, so I just started writing something, just to write, to try to get the ball rolling and get my mind working. It took me 2 weeks of fighting for every word because I hated it.
Oh,
really? I hated the
really?
story. I hated the characters, but it's that pressure. Because after the first week, I was like, maybe I'll email him or I'll call him and I'll say, look, I got nothing. So thanks for contacting me. Maybe the next one, if there's a next one, or he wanted to see the manuscript I was working on, but whatever. So I said, maybe we'll work together in the future. And then he said, I don't know if this changes anything, but we've finally got the signature from King and Gaiman to reprint 2 of their stories for the anthology. And I said, well, that would change things.
That changes. It changes.
Yeah, that changes. So at this point, I had a week to come up with something. And that's not a lot of time. So
the novellas,
especially now, there's
the novella's called "They Came from the Sea, They Went to the Stars."
Correct. Yeah. So I didn't even have an inkling of an idea for it. So what I sometimes will do, my Twitter feed is kind of a playground where I just sort of play around with ideas or scenes that I see in my head, and I'll write them. And sometimes it's a thread, and sometimes it's a single post. Usually it's a thread because I tend to be long-winded when I don't have to edit myself down. And so there was one that I wrote about a year or maybe 2 years prior to that, and there was just one thing. It was just one character that was called the Collector in that post, and something about that sparked it for me. So now I'm 3 days to deadline to submit to the editor, and so I just used that little spark that I had and just threw caution to the wind and just wrote. And I had 3 drafts within 48 hours of that idea, and I sent it to him. he liked it. They gave it the green light, and then that was it. So by that point, I had about less than 24 hours to deadline, and I had 3 days to do it. So it's one of those things where it just happens. Sometimes the pressure works for you, and sometimes it doesn't.
Wow. A 3-day window. A 3-day window. Well, at this point in time, I've got a 9-day window to my deadline, and I'm not even close, Hanson. Do you want to come and whip me? Because I've got some trouble going on. So
I'll bug you. I'll bug you every day. I'll DM you and bother you.
There you go. That'd be great. I need a little accountability. No, you don't need to go shopping, Cintry. You need to sit down and write the damn book. That's what I need. Now, so, okay, all right. When you've got characters that, and I want both your answers, when you've got characters that, and a deadline, And I mean, I know that I do get a lot of flack from people in the, self-publish, indie publish that, you don't really have a deadline. You can do it. You can let it go. Well, no, it's not how writers work. Not how I work, sorry. Don't hate on me, people. Do not send me DMs because I used the wrong word, for fuck's sake. How I work is I set a deadline and that's what I write to because, it's the way my brain fires. I'm running late, but it's the way it works. So what do? You've got a small window, you've got a deadline, and you've got characters that aren't cooperating. How do you tackle that, Hanson?
Just let them wander. That's usually what I do if I ever find myself in a writer's block situation. I'll just sit down and write and let them do whatever they want. Don't try to push them where I want them. Ignore the story. Just sort of, in the story, if a character storms out in the scene, they leave a room or a restaurant or something like that, just go with them and see what they do. And a lot of the times that stuff they do in the darkness that you'll never put into the work anyway could lead to breaking that block that you have. So that's usually what I do. Or I just work on something else and get my mind off of that story, work on another story. And then when I go to sleep that night, just think about what I'm stuck with. And sometimes by the morning, my mind will work it out for me.
So I can't write on
or
different
I cry.
stories.
Sometimes just crying.
I do that.
Yeah,
I can't write on other stories because I can only ever work on one at a time. And I get the idea that, if they're not going to behave the way you want them to, that you just go, okay, fine. What do you want to do there? And, give up and follow them. Grab a notebook and follow them and see what the freak they want to do. And it may or may not work out, but it's the pressure, Kaya. It's the pressure of having that deadline. And I mean, Hanson, you're dealing with, a publisher that is, working with Stephen King and Neil Gaiman. These aren't people that are going to go, oh yeah, you can have an extra week or you can have an extra 2 weeks, no problems, no whatever. There's your deadline. If you're not making that deadline, you ain't getting in to the anthology. So it's that pressure that you have to perform. Or you have to create the circus to perform. You have to get your characters to perform. Kaya, how do you deal with the pressure?
I cry.
Into a box of barbecue shapes. I know.
As I sob and think, it's okay. It's going to be okay. We do this every time. Well, we do.
We do.
But
we do.
I don't cry anymore. I don't have emotions.
You just turn them off.
Just turn them off. But I think it's hard work because we've been doing this for a while now, so I've learned many lessons. One of them is setting unrealistic deadlines and goals. That's one that I have tried to stop because, I've burnt out multiple times in this. So I think deadlines are important and I still apply them. but I give myself some wriggle room now as well, because I see so many people beat themselves up if they haven't accomplished this particular, has to be here. And I think deadlines are phenomenal. I think everyone should have them because it keeps you accountable. It keeps you focused and you have a target. And I think that's awesome. But I do think also we have to be kind to ourselves. So I don't know, I'm definitely fence sitting on this one.
You are fence sitting.
I'm like, I'm totally fence sitting.
No, because I set realistic goals. I set realistic goals, but there's this certain little thing that happens called procrastination. And that fucks up the realistic goals. Because I go, I got time.
Well,
I got time. It's all good.
That's when the best stuff happens. The best stuff happens when you're avoiding doing what you're supposed to do.
I know.
And there's like word counts. It's that arbitrary.
Your house gets so clean.
And suddenly there's like 36 cookies and 2 cakes on your thing. They're like, yes, I procrastinate.
Right, you're a baker.
I procrastinate. Yeah, I do procrastinate. I can't help myself. And it's right, though. It's the same thing you were saying, Hanson. Sometimes doing something, I don't write different books because my characters tend to get a little bit, like, what are you doing? If I go and talk to different characters, they want me to stay in the book that I'm writing, which is fine. Okay, whatever. They're opinionated. But in order sometimes to get them, if they're being painful, I'll go bake something. So they tend to talk a little bit more. If I just listen, because it makes me listen, I'm doing something else. It makes me shut my inner voice off and just listen to what they're talking about. And sometimes I can get a little bit more information out of them that way. I don't know. We all have little perks and quirks and techniques to,
Well, they might not be able to stand that you ignore them. And so then they go, okay, fine. If you just come back.
Come back. I'll talk to you now. I will. Do
All right. Yes.
I have a day job and, like a lot of us do. And they tend to talk a lot in the day job, and you're just like, sweetheart, this is not the time or the place for me to listen right now. I've got to pay attention to my job. It's paying the bills. And so you sit down, at 9 o'clock at night and think, okay, now, you've got my whole attention. Let's go. There's nothing. There's crickets.
They're all asleep.
That's it. They've talked themselves out. Like, damn it. Oh, dear. So, Hanson, you find obviously your home is in the horror genre?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're
That's where I've been planted. That's what people tell me.
Yeah. Are you going to stay in the horror? I mean, you have a real talent for the horror. Don't get me wrong. I think you're a phenomenally talented writer, and your ability to create something that makes my skin crawl is fantastic. Would you be tempted to go outside that genre at any point, or would Hanson do a little erotic novel?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think, like I said, I really think that your genre chooses you.
Yeah.
And dark writing horror has definitely chosen me. But no good story is one thing. So even if I'm working in a horror or a darker story, there can still be, and there should be, romance or humor or sci-fi or whatever. Nothing should be so defined.
Yeah.
Because then it's not interesting. No person is so defined to be one thing. So I think that's how I explore. I'll explore those subgenres within an overall arc of horror. But as for, is there going to be some dirty erotica slipping at it all? Hanson Oak?
Little Hanson Oak. Aye. I think that could be fun.
I do find the horror erotica genre.
There you go.
I have a friend who writes, and there's a lot of werewolves and vampires and such doing things, usually with humans. It's usually the humans that are very curious about crossing that boundary.
Yeah, I have a lot of cross species.
I don't know if
too.
Yeah. what's a werewolf like in bed? Let's
right.
discuss.
That's
How long do you have?
Oh, honey, that conversation, that thought has run through my head so many times. I don't even want to know. Like, as a fantasy writer, Kyra and I, we write fantasy. I write under an arc of humor. Humor is my genre, my main genre. I love humor. I love sarcasm. I love making the reader giggle. But I write fantasy and paranormal and murder mysteries underneath that arc of humor. But the thought of, wonder how good a dragon is in bed. All right, let's go there. That's it. I've got a whole series on that one.
Anatomically,
I've got a whole series.
If a normal non-writer person knew how much time you invested in your day thinking about just the anatomical possibilities of a dragon in bed, they'd be horrified. Nobody would talk to you ever again.
I have a centaur that fell in love with a vampire. That was an interesting conversation in my head too.
Yeah, that's
good times. Good times. We're very weird people as writers,
I was going to say, I was just having a conversation with an author friend. So she does erotica and the species, obviously. And she's like, and this one's a centaur. She's like, and there's a saddle, and it's not even him with the saddle. No, she gets the saddle.
She gets it. I know.
Girl,
that's what happened.
I don't know what's happening right now.
No, there's no.
I'm not following.
I'm totally on board with it, because in Raven's the vampire. Her partner, Samuel, is the centaur. And he took her for a lovely ride up the beach, bareback. They did decide to go bare. It was very, very erotic ride up the beach. Have you ever been bareback riding, Kai? Have you ever been bareback riding? No, Hanson probably hasn't, but still.
Not with a centaur, but apparently I need to up my game. When you find one, let me know.
My God.
I'll let you know.
The things that I've written is, all right, I've got to get off this or I'm blushing. Breathe it out, Sindra.
You know what's amazing? If you have writers or other creative people in your circle, and you go out with them, and you're just, let's say you're at a coffee shop, and you're both sipping some tea or some coffee, and you say, I had this thought. What if? Now stay with me. What if we have a centaur and a giant squid, but the giant squid likes to moonlight on land, and the centaur likes to moonlight in the water, and they just so happen to meet up. And then you catch yourself because you wonder, how am I being judged right at this moment? But the beauty about having writer friends or creative friends is that friend will gently place their coffee down and lean into the table and go on.
Yes. Have you been at a coffee with...
Now you got them.
You've been with Kyra and I, obviously, because we do this. So
I'm already bouncing off ideas, and then you have this, and then you could do that logistically. That could work.
That's impossible. Even in a fictional world, you'll have to make it this creature, because that one's not going to fly. Yeah, no, this is us. You
have to make it a little bit realistic.
Yeah. I love it.
Some Vegemite.
Yeah. I love it, and it's very true. It's very true. When we start, and there's been many a time that I've spoken to non-writer friends and gone, I am sane, just so you know. I have been tested. It's okay. I'm allowed to think like this.
There's the cliche of, the FBI was watching my Google searches, the things that I look up. But it's very true. Not only what you think, but now in the age of Google, you can start researching a lot of stuff and go down a rabbit hole. And then at the end of the rabbit hole, you can't even look at yourself in a mirror. You're just disgusted.
Oh, never. No, I can.
Where you took it.
No.
And what you not yet.
No.
Okay.
We look in the mirror. We put our chin up high and we go, oh, yeah, girlfriend, you went there. That's right. You went there and you loved it. Yeah. You loved it. You saw it, didn't you see when I've touched my humor and the ink on my picture? I put it up on my Twitter. I'm just like, that's me. Yes. And if I've offended you or if I haven't offended you, just stay tuned because I will eventually. I'll get to you eventually. All right. We play a game. We play a game at the end of our podcast, Hanson. We haven't got Mark here, so you're going to be on it.
That reminds me, if I could.
Yeah.
I just wanted to interrupt. I listened to, this just reminded me, I listened to the podcast with Ricky.
Oh, yes. On it, oh, good.
Who I've known.
We love
him. Yes, for a very long time. I've been interacting with him and his writing. And one thing I wanted to just say about Ricky, if you don't follow him, if you're not familiar, get familiar. And hearing his story in the podcast made a lot of sense to some of his writing because he does have a lot of humor, a lot of poems that are pretty light and airy. But then every now and again, he posts one that came from a very painful place.
Yep.
Or a very painful experience. And usually a lot of those are stained with racial issues. Obviously, when he spoke about it, it's a lot that he grew up with. And he's so positive, and you can hear in his voice when he was talking in the interview, you know, he obviously loves to laugh. He loves to talk. He loves to talk about what he does. But there's a darkness to his writing sometimes, the things that he posts and that he shares, that sort of makes you reconsider your own outlook and your own experiences in the words that he puts down. So I just wanted to share and say hi to Ricky if he's
is one of the most beautiful souls. I absolutely adore him. Him and I have spoken both on the timelines and out of timelines, and he is just a phenomenal talent. I love his humor, and I love the darkness in some of his posts. And I mean, he says the same thing about my stuff, which is sweet and kind, but I wouldn't compare ever to the talent that man possesses with his words. He's just phenomenal. I got nothing but praise for that boy. Love him. Love him.
All right, so let's play a game.
Play a game, Hanson. All right.
Yes.
Now, if you've listened to the podcast, you know that it is called Booker Feud. That's we're such a high-profile show, aren't we? So high profile. All right. So it's Booker Feud. It's like Family Feud, but of course we call it Booker Feud because of legality reasons. Of course, Mark's not here tonight, so we have two teams, Team Kaya and Team Hanson. By default, you get your own team, Hanson. So good luck. You get to go up against Kaya. She talks smack talk, so don't play into her lower class humor on this. It's bad.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm an angel. Me.
I have themed this week's question to be about horror scary, so let's see how we go with that. All right. Team names. Kaya, quickly. Team name?
I'll just go Gore.
Gore. All right. Team Hanson. Team name?
I'll be the Lone Oak because I'm all by myself.
Lone Oak. There's your erotic novel title, The Lone Oak. Because oak, wood, wood, oak, oaky wood. See, I've got it all going on for you already. They go, Hanson. Here you go.
Maybe we need to take this offline and we could ghost write it together.
All right. Later. All right. Okay. So Team Gore and Team Lone Oak. We've got this going. All right. First, a team in with their name gets to go first, and we'll alternate till we find a winner. All right. Name a sound. Name a sound that you might. What? No, I haven't even finished the damn question, Kaya. Stop it. Oh, that's bad. I didn't even get it all out.
I can name a sound.
Not those kind of sounds. You'd have to make those kind of sounds. We'd do that in another week. Make a sound. No, name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie?
Gore.
Oh, you know she was going to go in hard. She's always in hard and fast. Hard and fast, Kaya.
That's me.
Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie.
Like a thump.
A thump. Is that your answer?
Thump. Yeah, thump.
Yes. Not on the list, Kaya. Not on the list. Hanson, name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie.
A woman screaming.
A scream, top of the list, number one. Well done. Ding, ding, ding.
Oh.
He knows what he's talking about, Kaya, you see? What a thump. What's a thump?
But I won in buzzing first. That's all I'm going to take from this.
Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie. Team Gore,
Right,
Kaya.
You know what? I'm gonna take Zilla, who is in the group chat on my team.
Are you just taking them on your team? Yes.
Just take it. I will take all the help I can get. I'm gonna say Owl.
Owl. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
No, it's not on the list. I'm sorry, Kaya. I'm sorry, Zilla. You're very passionate with that owl 3 times. I appreciate it. You're close, but not quite. Not quite. Team Hanson, Team Lone Oak. Lone Oak. Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie.
A dog howling.
Oh, a dog howling. Can I not hear the first word in that? Can I just hear the second word in that? Can you rephrase that for me?
A wolf howling? What is a howl? I don't know where you want me to go.
There you go. Well done, Hanson. It's on the list. Howling is on the list. Animal howling is on the list.
All right.
You know that moment when you realize the host wants somebody specific to win and it's not you.
It's not my fault that you shot twice, Kaya, and you haven't banged on me. Not my fault. Hanson's got the magic touch right now. I'm sorry. It's the way it works. Hanson, yes.
Hanson, you're making me a very jealous person.
Name a sound. Team Gore, name a sound that you might hear on the background of a scary movie. So far we have scream and we have animal howling. And you're 0 to 2, just so you know.
Well, yeah, cool, thanks. Wasn't keeping track. That surprised me.
There you are.
I'm gonna say a rattle, just a rattle in the background.
Really? Is that your final answer?
I'm really bad at this. I'm really bad. Yeah,
Papa, not on the list. What are you? Oh God.
I just feel like I don't even I really take pride in destroying Mars.
You don't want to be mean to Hanson?
I like Hanson. No, I like Hanson. Hanson's nice.
He is sweet. He is absolutely adorable. Hanson, team...
I'll use that as my excuse for being so terrible.
There you go. Team Lone Oak, name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie.
I'm torn between footsteps and a creaking door, but I'm going to go with footsteps.
Papa, not on the list. Not on the list. It should be, but not on the list. All right, here's your chance, Kaya. Here's your chance. You could dive in, go low, go hard. Name a sound.
We've been hanging out too long.
I'm still stuck on the erotic novel with the Lone Oak at the moment. Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie. So far we have scream and howling. Sound like they could be in an erotic movie too. Go on.
Part of me could be really rude and take Hanson's answer because I think it's a good one, but I'm not going to. If it was Mark, I would. But Hanson, you can keep that one.
For the record, I wouldn't take the answer for either of you, but go on.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, I was going to say you're helping me.
I did. There's an equal help. I'm an equal opportunity helper.
Thank you. I am going to say the wind.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
It's on the list. Holy shit, well done.
Oh my goodness, I'm on here. Look at me go. What? That was
Good
a surprise.
job.
Low and hard,
Thank you.
I see it. Wind is on the list. Yes, excellent. Team Lone Oak.
I've done my job here.
You're
Have a
on the
good go.
board. You're on the board, baby girl. It's all good. Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie. We have scream, we have howling, and we have wind. There is 2 more, Hanson.
Let's see. What
No
about...
pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I don't know. There's a cliche, the chains rattling. That probably won't be there. I wouldn't put that there if I was making that list.
Well, no, Kaya
Doesn't say
already
it
said rattling, though. I
Yeah,
would have
I
put
did
it in on
rattling.
that one, but
Oh.
it isn't. She's already said rattling.
All right.
Hanson, I had the same idea. Can you believe this list?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of
Rude.
I'm just thinking of those Halloween audio recordings that people play in their house. Do you have that over there? Do you guys have
No.
Halloween in Australia?
Well, not to the
We
same
do,
degree.
but it's
that
not as magnificent.
it's kind of like you ordered Halloween off Wish. Have you ever ordered something off Wish? And what you see
No.
and what you get are 2 very different things. Yeah, pretty much that.
Usually 5 times smaller.
You order a 9-inch and you get a 3-inch. That's Halloween in Australia. All right. Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie. We have scream, we have wind, we have howling. What is your answer, Hanson?
Let's see. How about groaning? Would that be the same thing?
Is that your
Are we
answer?
still talking about the
Look, it's working for
Where are
me.
we?
I don't know what he's
Sorry.
talking, but I tell you what, it's working delightfully for me right now. Is that your final answer, Hanson?
I'm going to go with the final answer. I'll hit the buzzer.
Groaning is not on the list. Sorry. No, it's on my list, but it's not on the list. Team Gore, Kaya, name something that you might hear in the background of a scary movie.
Well, I love Sir dearly.
I was sitting there going, he's put it in twice.
He's put it in twice. He's trigger happy. So together we're going to say thunder.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
It's on the list.
Yay!
Thunder is on the list.
Big hugs.
Thunder is on the
that's a good
list.
one.
So we have 2 each. Oh my God, we have a tie.
I didn't think I'd get here.
So he just sneaks in at the back end to say, there you go, have a little answer. All right.
Yeah.
So we have 1 answer left, guys. 2 all, 1 answer left. First person in with no, I'm not going to do that because Kyra will do that anyway. No, okay. First person in with their team name gets to go first. I'll give a clue. Name a sound at the end. So, Kaya.
Wait one
Oh.
second. Where's she getting these little ghosts that are helping her? Who are these people?
They
Are these
are.
people
These are my
whispering to her?
friends.
If you-
They're my friends, Hanson.
They're in the screen. If you're watching the screen underneath, you can see that people are in the studio and commenting and talking to us as we go. The beauty of being
Hello,
live.
everybody.
Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie. We have, so far, scream, thunder, wind, and howling. Now, there's 1 answer left, and I swear to God, I can't believe neither of you have got it, because it is the most stereotypical aspect to a horror movie or scary movie that would be across the board, and I don't understand why none of you have got it. Yeah, that's the clue. That's
Why are we
it.
getting in trouble?
That's the clue.
Sorry.
Obvious.
I'll do better.
Obvious answer. First person in with their name gets to go. The most obvious answer. Name a sound that you might hear in the background of a scary movie.
Gore.
God, really? Go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am going to team up with Sarah again and say eerie music. I'm a bad person, aren't I?
You're such a bad person. Scary music on the list. Yes, that is the answer.
Yay,
well
I'm
done.
sorry, Hanson.
You snuck in at that last moment. You're shockingly bad.
I feel so bad. I do.
Look, Hanson, I was totally rooting for you.
Hanson should win.
I don't feel like I was even playing against her. She was just voicing Sir there.
There you go.
I lost to him.
There you go. The winner's for Sir.
It's
Sir
true.
won. Jeez.
Good job, sir. Thank you. It's true. It happens more often than you'd think, Hanson.
It does. And I was totally rooting for Hanson in both senses of the word. Now.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. Oh, my. I know, I can't help it. It's just, I shouldn't be on a live podcast. That's what I shouldn't be on. Now. Okay. Congratulations, Kaya, for winning What the Book Booker Feud this week. Well done. And, of course, by deferring to congratulations, sir. And
good job, sir.
Well done. Well done. Hanson Oak, thank you so much for being here in the studio today. It's been an utter pleasure to speak to you.
It has been a great pleasure, and it's all mine. And I have been following you via Twitter as well, and all your ridiculousness. I think
it's what I do best.
The first thing that caught my eye was your terrible jokes.
Oh, stop it.
That made me so angry.
I know.
I almost left Twitter after some of those.
You berate me quite often. You sit there and just go, really? Really? Is that where we're going? That's where we're going, right? That's where we're going every time.
That's what we're wasting our tweets on?
Correct.
Yeah, that costs electricity.
Correct.
That nonsense.
Correct. And you love it. You love it. I know. I feel the love. It's okay. I'm your guilty pleasure, Hanson Oak. I know. It's all good.
That's true.
Shall I leave the room?
You should leave the room.
I don't feel like a winner today.
All right. Thank you for being here, Hanson Oak. We wish you the best in all that you do. And I can't wait to read more scary stuff coming off your feed.
Thank you both very, very much. I'm sorry that I only got to meet the two of you today, but maybe another time.
Come back again. Mark will love it. Of course, we always miss Mark when he's not here, but the girls get to play a little bit rougher. So, we don't have to be quite as delicate when Mark's not here. Kaya, my gorgeous
Thanks
girl.
for not hurting his feelings.
Love you, sweetheart. Thank you for being here. And, of course, for the people in the studio, you're everything to us, people listening. You're everything to us is what we do for you every week. So, of course, we'll see you again next week. Same podcast channel, different podcast guests. Can't wait. For the moment, have the most blessed week. And if you need a laugh, come read my jokes. Because that's what I do best.
Yeah, if you need to cringe.
Oh, I thought, no, that hurt. That hurt. Oh, all right.
It didn't hurt. You know what you're doing. You know what this is.
All right. Love you both. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.